Oh yeah. So, folks, welcome to Food for Action. Lots happening today, obviously. This country and its quote unquote rule of law is has mystified folk again. It is it is inconceivable how the judgment against those officers, or not judgment, but the decision to have zero charges that have anything to do with Breonna Taylor's death actually involved in this whole thing. Literally, the one charge that is being brought up against the one officer has nothing to do with Breonna Taylor. It has to do with an apartment that took bullets below or beneath the Breonna Taylor's apartment. They didn't even bring up anything to do with the neighbor that lived above Breonna Taylor. So it is a very interesting scenario. The charge that was brought has to do with the possible danger that one of the neighbors below were at, or what danger they may have been in due to the stray bullets, I guess. And how on earth at all, how on earth it could be possible that it could be possible at all that how it could be. What's up, Brian Dales Senior? I see you, brother. How it could be possible at all, like one bit possible, that could be the only charge in a case where a sleeping woman is shot. She ended up with 6 bullets in her body, and with 6 bullets while she's asleep, causes her death. And they ended up being at the wrong place anyways, because the person they were supposed to be looking for in this warrant, that person didn't even live in that house, reside at that house, nor has been in that house. This is crazy ridiculous. This is unbelievable that this is I mean, look, you've got this district attorney who literally just finished speaking at the Republican National Convention. Just did that, and he's in charge of this case, bringing charges. Let me say this: I hope and pray that that the FBI is going to cure this miscarriage of justice, because Breonna Taylor and her family deserve justice in this, and that is not what they've received so far. They have. This is the most heinous, disrespectful. I haven't seen something like this in a long time. We know that these kind of things are possible, but for the charges that they ended up bringing, which against the one officer that actually has zero to do with Breonna Taylor's life being taken. That's what they come up with. Listen, again, you're listening to Food for Action. Let me go ahead with the mission statement. I and we acknowledge and express the racial divide, racism, oppression, exploitation, violence, systemic racism against Black men, Black women, and Black youth in the United States of America and all over the world. I and we will proactively help create a path to a true and united state in America, which we obviously, from this new news today, know that we are not in a united state in America. We are in a broken, ridiculous, oppressive state in America. 3 officers firing into a house, firing in a house, striking a sleeping person who was a what do you call those? The emergency vehicle tech people. She's a person that's out there that does good, and she dies because they had a warrant to search an address for a person that doesn't even reside at that address, who, if they would have done a little bit more research, would have found out that that person was not at that address. There's differing opinions or conflicting opinions or stories about if the officers even identified themselves. What we know now at this point is that there are way more people, only one individual who was a witness outside of the police, who said that that they might have heard the police identify themselves. The rest of the witnesses, and that is from what I've heard so far, upwards of 10 or more innocent bystanding witnesses, in other words, neighbors or people that live close to the vicinity of the home apartment, testified that the officers did not identify themselves before breaching the premises with their door smashing thing. I forget what it's called. Anyways, so if that is the case, then that means that this that the boyfriend who presently BREONNA's present boyfriend statement was that somebody smashed into the house, and so that is why he pulled his gun. He thought they were being broken in on, and so if that's the case, which more witnesses corroborated, then that means that that this is such a miscarriage of justice in any way, shape, or form. People talk about the $12 million that Breonna Taylor's family received. That is a civil suit. It has nothing to do with the criminality. The civil suit, that is something that any person from any walk of life, any family of a loved one who is murdered under those kind of circumstances, or in any circumstance where they shouldn't have been murdered, but especially in a police-involved shooting, that is the least that they can do for a family, and that is to compensate them monetarily for their loss. That does not bring the victim back, and it does not satisfy the criminality of the egregious murder of Breonna Taylor by the 6 bullets that arrived in her body via those police officers. So this is a frustrating, sad day. Lots of things that I want to get to. It's a very, 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 very sad day again. It's like we can't stop reliving these same things over and over again. We can't stop reliving the injustice, the blatant disregard for Black and brown lives in this country. We can't get over that for some reason. That there is a hurdle that we have been attempting to jump over for hundreds of years, and it is still impossible to make the jump today. And it is September 22nd, 2020, and we still can't achieve any form of justice. So there was many things that I was going to talk about today, and of course, because of this decision or lack thereof, it has obviously changed the climate in this country and this conversation. So I want to thank everybody who has joined in the conversation. If you have a question, you want to join the conversation, you want to pipe in, please let me know. You can type something in as Brian Dales did, or I have Be Live still has not corrected the problem of why I can't receive, or at least seemingly at this point, I still can't receive any messages on the screen, but I am receiving them on my phone. So please feel free to message me with any questions or statements that you have regarding Breonna Taylor, and also regarding racism, systemic racism in this country. Yeah, I can't help, but be incredibly saddened and disheartened after this. This is we are losing people by the hundreds in this country at present today, and still we can't get any justice, and it is appalling. It is horrible, and people wonder why there are so many folks that are responding in disgust, and so many people that are I don't condone violence. I don't condone destroying other people's properties. I don't condone anything like that. But people are fed up. People are disgusted and fed up with the way that the law enforcement judicial system, how it's run, and how it we are in such a disadvantage when it comes to any side of the legal system. It's incredible that the rules are supposed to be even across the board. Everything is supposed to be incredibly equal, but it is not that way. It is not equal. We are not treated equal. The laws do not affect us equally. This is I know some people say it's cool, but listen, when people say it's rigged, that the system is rigged, it really, really appears to be that way. I've told you about some of the scenarios that I've been through, being targeted and messed with for no reason, and this is real. This is it's insanely crazy, and I don't yeah. So I don't know. Anyways, so we're looking for answers. They say that there's still an FBI investigation going on, and You know, I hope that gives us some answers. Wendy Pennington, James Martin Roberts, Mark Mason, thank you for tuning in. Yeah, so it's just it's sad. You know, as many people know, I lost somebody close to me this week, and or it was last week, but and the funeral was today, and I couldn't even be there. Um, he's just an amazing hero in my life, um, Miss Joan Hoyt, Mama Hoyt, as I called her, and you know, we're losing people, and we're losing people in great numbers, and across this country. And some things are from disease, some things are from age, but there also is such a big portion, such a huge segment of this population that is dying at the hands of law enforcement officers, and unjustifiably at the hands of law enforcement officers. And again, as I posted earlier this week, I appreciate and I respect law enforcement that does the true protect and serve mission. I love it. Awesome. Those officers I respect to the hills for sacrificing their lives, putting their lives in harm's way, just like military folks. You know, I have family members, some alive, some dead, who perished in the line of duty. So I'm familiar with that. But we cannot ignore the fact that we have a huge, not some, but a huge infection in police office in law enforcement and police departments. We have an element in within police departments that are bringing a sickness to those departments. It is a sickness of bigotry. It is a sickness of entitlement. It is a sickness of abuse, and we are suffering from that. We suffer from that more than any other people on this planet. That we are by that element of police, by that element of law enforcement officers, we are distinguished, we are murdered, we are abused, and unjustly so, by the hundreds. This is not something new. All the people out there who want to write and say, "Oh no, it's just Breonna Taylor and it's just George Floyd." No, if you look at my page, you will see at the top of the Food for Action page itself, you will see that there are two different pictures in there that have the names of hundreds of Black men, women, and youth in this country whose lives were taken by police officers, at the hands of police officers. And in 99.9% of those cases, they were by white police officers. This is not new. This is not exceptions to rules. This is not, oh, well, they deserved it. This is not, I put on my page, you'll see it in the red, it's a red picture that is one of the main pictures. You will see the names of hundreds of Black and brown women, children, and men who were murdered, not because they had weapons, not because of the offense they committed, which sometimes would have been jogging while Black, which sometimes are no turn signal. Let's see, a non-violent warrant being served. Let's see, I mean, look, the examples are again by the hundreds of black and brown folk that are being murdered. That is what it is. When you are killed by police officers, when your crime does not fit murder as the answer, when you are not, when the police officer is not the judge, the jury, and the executioner, when you have done nonviolent offenses, when you have are at a traffic stop, when you are walking down the street because somebody called and reported that you looked suspicious the way you walk and you end up dead, that is a travesty. And that is what I have hundreds of names on my site for the people that think that it just happened once or twice. I can show you, prove to you that that is not the case, that it has happened hundreds of times. And I'm talking within the last 10 years. I'm not talking about 20, 30, 40 civil rights. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in the recent century, the recent decade. If we go to the century, it's hundreds and hundreds more. So to all of you who listen and then decide you don't want to listen anymore because you think that somebody is playing a race card or somebody is just trying to incite some kind of riot, no, sir, no, ma'am. This is reality. Again, the names are on my page. You can see the names of the people and you can read the reports because they're public. It's public information. So you can find out that this is for real. There are hundreds and hundreds of lives being taken away by the police in this country. Are there good police? Absolutely. I had family and friends who were good police. But there is an element within police departments, and that element carries the sickness of corruption, carries the sickness of racism, the sick, and they brutalize and they treat black and brown folks unfairly from the get-go. And I am talking about from traffic violation stops to somebody calls and says something, you're suspicious because you're sitting in a pool area in the apartment complex or the hotel where you reside or are staying. Let me tell you something. These stories of murders, these stories of abuse, of violating rights, it's huge. The list is thousands, not a couple, not a few times, not exceptions to the rules. This is a normalcy in the life of black people in this country. And if you are a denier, please open a book. Please go into Google if you want to. You can see it on my site. You can see it on hundreds and hundreds of other folks who are activist sites. And you can see on government websites, you can see it on law enforcement websites, that there is not equal treatment under the law happening in this country for black people. It is not happening, and nobody can convince me to the lie to say that it isn't, that this is not happening. It is the truth. It is out there for you to see. You can verify to know that I am not lying. But let me tell you, if you are just one of those people that follows the Trumps and the whoever else's, and you're going to just hang with their stories and pretend that nothing is happening like this, I can give you personal stories, and I can give you thousands of stories that happen to other black folks in this country at this very moment. We can talk about it right now. There is nobody. I see no messages today. I see nobody talking trash today. It's very, very peculiar how that is the case. It's very peculiar. You know, I posted something about people trying to compare Blue Lives, which is a job where people apply and get accepted and qualified, quote unquote, qualified to be police officers. They tried to compare that job to a person being black. And so I had to point out how heinously ridiculous that people try to make those two things into some equivalency where it is not. One thing you are born with. I was born in this skin since I was a baby, or probably since I was still in my mom's belly. I had this skin. It might have been a little bit lighter at the time, might have been a little darker, who knows, all that stuff. But I was born into this skin. Nobody was born into being a police officer. Nobody was born to be in the FBI. Nobody was born to be in the whatever other, the Texas Rangers, or nobody was born to be in any of those things. It is a choice. And most of the time, it is a proud and a welcomed choice. And again, I respect and appreciate folks who make that choice when they are upholding the law. But there is another element, a horrible, nasty, ridiculous element in this country of police officers that figure that once they get the badge, that it is no longer anybody else's right to exact the punishment, but they figure that the minute they make an arrest, it is up to them to figure out if the person that they are stopping, detaining, speaking to, looking for, it is their decision to decide if that life is worth living, and that is a truth, a horrible truth in this country. That is where we are, America, the supposed land of the free, the supposed liberty and justice for all, the supposed all men are created equal and endowed by certain unalienable rights. Apparently, that is, and what I've said over and over again is that is not the case. We do not have the benefit of those writings and those rules and those laws. We are subject to whichever officer approaches us on that given day, how they feel and how they think, and then in return for them deciding that they were going to kill us, then we have nothing that we can do about it. Can we sue the state? Sure. Taxpayers' money can then be awarded to us by the state if we lose family members or other lives. Excuse me. Then of course the state can then do that, because they take taxpayers' money, they put it into a little fund, and then they divvy that out because they know and expect that those murders are going to happen. So it's a system of checks and balances for everybody but us. We are only subject to judgment and accusal and condemnation, and then rather we should live or die based on the mood or the thought process or the belief system of the law enforcement officer that approaches us or detains us or arrests us. And this is America. This is a sad America, not a hopeful America. This is not a let's be proud to be in America type of thing. If anybody can be proud of this country for what just occurred, the lack of justice that was just given in the Breonna Taylor case, I can't even talk. It's the saddest thing, and I can't fathom how somebody can be proud of that happening in this country. I just don't understand it. I definitely don't agree with it, and there's nobody on the planet who can make me believe that this is okay. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist or it doesn't take the smartest person in the world with any kind of degrees to know that Breonna Taylor was murdered, and she shouldn't have been murdered. And the fact that the district attorney stood in front of us all on TV and said to us that the charge that is being brought against only one of the officers, that the charge that is being brought up is a charge that amounts to the possible guilt of reckless endangerment to the other apartments that were that caught bullets from the, I think they said 60 or more rounds from that some of those bullets stray went into other houses and could have wounded or killed those people. That's the only thing that is being charged with and that's only the officer that was let go already. So so Louisville, Kentucky is saying that the only thing that they are sorry for, that they believe that should be charged, is for the reckless endangerment of apartment buildings, not people, but apartment. They're doing that on behalf of that. There's holes in the floors, walls, and ceiling, and those people didn't die, and those people weren't injured. Thank God they weren't, but still. But the other innocent person who was in a bed sleeping when the police stormed into that house, that innocent person's life meant absolutely nothing to the legal system. It only meant something to the civil system, the civil part of the system, which awarded them $12 million, which does not bring her back, and it does not make the officers who committed these crimes, it does not make them held accountable for what they did. Now, I mentioned it earlier. Let's not pretend that we didn't expect something similar to this. We didn't think it was going to be this far-fetched, but we expected something was going to happen not exactly right. And so did they, because that's why they put the city on emergency, declared a state of emergency, and they had businesses board up their businesses 2 days ago. I think that started, or 3 days ago. They started doing that. They were preparing for the fact that they were going to announce that nothing was going to be done legally about the people who murdered Breonna Taylor. This is not, they found out today, this morning. This is not, oh, last night, it seemed like a possible conclusion. No. They've known this for days, that this was going to be what they, and so they warned businesses, because they knew that they were about to present something horribly wrong to people and to the family of Breonna Taylor and friends of Breonna Taylor. And they decided that the businesses were way important to protect, that it is very important that they protect those businesses, but the life that they took is not protected. There is no justice for the life, only the windows of businesses in the area. There's justice for those businesses. So let me get this straight again. So Breonna Taylor gets shot 6 times while she's in her bed sleeping, and then the answer to that, the quote-unquote justice, is to charge one of the officers of reckless endangerment to first degree to apartments in and around them because of stray bullets that didn't hurt anybody and that just went through people's apartments. There's nothing that happens because they killed a woman with 6 gunshots while she was sleeping. And the fact that they found out that they were at an apartment that wasn't the apartment of the person that they were looking for. And they found out that they were in the presence of her new boyfriend. And so there was no connection with her any longer with this supposed person that they were looking for. So they go in, they charge into the house without warning, which is what all of the witnesses testified, except for this one mysterious witness that came out of nowhere that confirmed that the police identified themselves. But the person, her present boyfriend, who was in the building, who actually fired a shot at the police, fired a shot that hit one of the police officers, that person testified and even called, and there's an emergency call about it, but they called it that somebody broke into their house and started shooting. They're trying to say he shot first. The 911 call that he made says that that is not what happened. So there's so much horrible happening here and so much being twisted. But let me say again that even more than that, in any situation, they took her life, Breonna Taylor's life, for no reason at all. They took her life, and none of them are being punished for that. None of them. They all fired shots, and 6 bullets hit her. They can mysteriously not identify who all the shots came from, but still and yet, or how they say people say it now, yet and still, they still find that there are 6 bullets in Breonna Taylor's body. She would have died within 2 minutes. They didn't get her medical attention for 2 hours, and now today we find out that the only punishment or proposed punishment is to the one officer who was already fired, and for that person, the charge is going to be reckless endangerment of life because of gunshots that went in neighboring apartments. Not that killed anybody, but in neighboring apartments. So the bullets that landed on and in Breonna Taylor, who caused her death, there is no punishment for that whatsoever. And this is all coming from the direction or the directive today of a district attorney who just finished giving a speech at the Republican National Convention. What is it, about a week ago, 2 ago? And we're supposed to be surprised. Well, in a way, we are surprised a little bit, but just as you were preparing to protect buildings and businesses in certain neighborhoods of Louisville, we were preparing as well, because we knew that justice wouldn't be served. We hoped and prayed that it may be finally, but we knew in our heart of hearts that it would not be. And instead, and so what you have done is you have just verified how corrupt the system is, how unfair the system is, how unjust the system is. And you wonder why we're scared to walk outside. You wonder why we have to tell our children we have to give them preparatory classes daily about how to conduct themselves and what to be aware of when they walk outside, because we're at a disadvantage right away because of our skin color. The amount of melanin in our skin is the reason that we have to beware and be on the lookout to be treated unfairly, unequally. Look, I can't remember. I used to have to check my car lights, make sure the flasher's working, make sure the turn signal's working, make sure all the lights are on, headlights, tail lights, make sure that I didn't even have 2 seconds in my car without my seatbelt on, to make sure that lane changes are proper, to make sure that I mean, if you name it, make sure you're not wearing the wrong clothes with the wrong colors on it when you're in a certain city. I mean, this is how we've had to live. While white folks just get up and go outside and just carry on their day. We have to prepare ourselves for possible destruction every time we walk outside. And you wonder why we feel the way that we feel, why we are upset and aggravated and frustrated. You wonder why. At what point? At what point do you realize at what point do you realize that we are dealing with something that it's horrible. It's unfair. As a people, we're tormented by the fact that at any point, if I accidentally go a couple miles over the speed limit and get pulled over, I don't know what police officer is going to approach me. A taillight goes out accidentally, I don't know which police officer is going to approach me. I don't know if it's going to be the law enforcing officer that's just there to do the job and to enforce the laws, or is it going to be more than that officer that figures that he's going to judge me by my appearance, by the way I talk, how articulate I am, how dark I am, the way my hair is, my beard, my glasses, what kind of car I'm driving. I mean, did I answer them fast enough? I mean, we don't know what the reason is going to be. We don't know who it's going to be, who's going to show up on that particular stop, or the particular time they may knock on our door with a warrant at the house. We don't know who's coming to do those things. We don't know if we're going to make it past that traffic stop or past that knock at our door. We don't know if they're going to get the wrong information and then all of a sudden break in the door. And when I hear somebody breaking in the door, I shoot out at whoever because I think I'm being ambushed by maybe some hoodlums, somebody who's trying to rob me or whatever. And I don't know that it's the police because they don't say it's the police, but it's the police and whatever, knock on the door first and wait for you to answer and so on. But they just go about their business of judge and executioner and jury. And we don't know if that's going to be the officers that we get. We don't know these things. We don't know who is what police officer is it? What type of police officer is it that we're going to come in contact with, to be approached by? We don't know who it is. We're dying because of this fact. We're dying in our sleep because of this fact. We're dying while we walk in parks, while we go to a store, while we get pulled over for a traffic violation, while we are literally just breathing while black. This is not an overreaction. This is not far-fetched. This is not exaggeration. This is literally how we're dying every day. Every single day, a black person is dying unjustly, unwarranted. We are being murdered. And it is unfair. Listen, I also wanted to say that as you probably have noticed, tonight, Kimberly Latrice Jones is not going to be able to be here. She has been called to do several interviews because she's freaking world famous. But she is, Kimberly Latrice Jones, author, New York best-selling author, director, activist. Because of the Breonna Taylor new scenarios She has obviously been called to do some network things. So she is going to reschedule with us. Um, and she has sent an apology. I think she's actually going to post something on my site at some point here in the nearest future when she's free from these interviews and things. But unfortunately, she won't be here tonight. So my apologies to you, but I am sure that you all must understand under these new circumstances. Um, but as I told you before, we have many guests coming up. From award-winning producers and songwriters to activists and authors and actors and actresses and sports figures and so it's just a lot of folks that are going to be coming on, and God has blessed this platform, and so I feel I feel like I need to make the best of this platform and do the best that I can to try to bridge the gap and to bring an understanding to what is actually going on in this world. All of my friends, but all of my white friends and family, first and foremost, I need you guys to get the word out that that we are suffering, that this is not something new. This is not something accidental, something incidental. It's not a one-off. This is what we as Black people face every single day, and every time we are not surprised by the outcome. We are not surprised that the officers are not being charged or are not convicted. We are not surprised by this anymore. We actually, at this point, are just more sad and more hardened, more angry, more frustrated. And I don't know if that is the world's intention to get all Black and brown folk just as excited and aggravated and incited as possible, but things explode when they get to a certain point. And I don't want anyone to hurt. I don't want anybody's property to be damaged. I don't want anything to get chaotic. But all I know is that we are people too. And just as after a football game, when your team wins or loses, you go into the streets and you smash cars and light things on fire and tear down electric lights and all that kind of stuff. Just as you do that, and when you do that, you are just called white folks to just get out of control a little bit because of a game, because of the outcome of the game, how excited or angry you were. Just as you do those things for that reason, we are losing lives. I think our reason might be a little better, if you can even use that term, a little bit more appropriate to any destruction that does end up happening. Again, I don't politicize it. I don't approve of violence. I don't approve of destruction of public property or anybody else's property. I don't approve of any of that. But what I do know for a fact is that we have been hurt enough for way enough time, for way long enough. And at a certain point, pain turns into other stuff. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's going to be. I know that on the screen right now in front of me, I'm seeing stuff go down. And law enforcement was prepared for it because, like I said already, you already knew what the answer was going to be today. The district attorney and the rest of the Louisville law police departments, you knew what was going to happen today. You expected it because you know that it's wrong. You expected it because you knew that it was unjust. I hope, and that's the only thing I can say, I hope and I pray that at some point somebody in the law enforcement, in policing, has an epiphany which isn't an epiphany to us, but maybe it has to be to you. But I hope and pray that somebody in law enforcement at some point wakes up and says, you know what? We shouldn't be allowing our police officers to do this to other people, let alone black or white. We shouldn't be letting them do this to other people. And when law enforcement, that bad element of law enforcement, does these things, they should be held accountable to 100,000,000% of the law, just like as if it was a regular person. Because if I went and to somebody's house and shot somebody that was sleeping, I'd be under the jail. It is still equivalent. You can't say that it's not. You can't say, well, they were serving a warrant and that somebody got shot at. No. The person that got that shot, and that person was in front. I mean, the person that got shot was in bed. The person that shot somebody, rather it was first or second, which probably was the latter, but that person is alive. That person is testifying that the police just broke into the house, and there's even a 911 call that shows that happened, and so it's sad to see. I mean, there's so much evidence. That's why I can't wait till the FBI does their work, because since they're doing their own investigation, and I'm sure that they are going to at some point release publicly, because they have to in all cases. But when they release publicly and find out that all of the other witnesses who were not law enforcement, they stated that the police did not identify themselves when they smashed into, broke the door down to get into Breonna Taylor's apartment, looking for a person who doesn't even live there. So there's so much wrong with this case, and so much wrong with how it's being handled presently. And I just hope that FBI will bring to light the real story, and I hope that at some point there will be justice for Breonna Taylor and Breonna Taylor's family. I give my love and prayers to them all, and I hope that you all will too. As I usually each night talk about a person another life that was taken at the hands of police. And I'm not going to do that tonight, because I'm talking about a wonderful black woman who was an EMS worker, and she was an EMS tech, and she was saving lives out there in Louisville, and her life was taken away by people that were supposed to be protecting and serving her and her community. So I think that is a focus enough. And I know that I've seen a few people come back and forth. I'm sure that people are turning away because they don't like it, and that's tough. In that, what we used to say as we was kids, that's tough luck. This is what this platform is for. This platform is not for people to feel good about themselves. This is not a pat you on the back program. I promote all the time to make sure that we do things peacefully, to make sure that we carry on conversations peacefully. And even when you guys say horrible things to me, I don't return the favor. I keep it peaceful and productive and proactive, and which is what I encourage you all to do. But let me say, in no uncertain terms, that I will always speak out when injustice is being done. When injustice is handed out, when justice is not handed out, then I will always speak up and speak straightforward, straight shooting, however you want to say it. And today, Louisville, Kentucky, the law and legal side of Louisville, Kentucky, failed miserably. They failed Breonna Taylor. They failed Breonna Taylor's family. They failed all Black people in Louisville, Kentucky. And they failed Black America, because even though we figured that something like this would happen, we always have a little bit of hope that somebody is going to be the first law enforcement department to get it right. And in this situation, they got it horribly wrong. Factually, horribly wrong. Breonna Taylor's life was taken from her as she slept in a bed. Her life was taken for nothing, for no reason. Shot 6 times. Verified, shot 6 times. Wasn't given help. 2 hours passed. 2 hours. It was said by the what's the guy, the medical examiner, that she might have died within 2 minutes. But maybe not. Maybe if she would have gotten help, she would have been able to survive the struggle. You know, Black women are strong. Maybe she would have been able to survive. But 2 hours later is when she got attended to, when she was more than dead at the hands of those police officers. So again, everybody who has popped in and popped out, because you're not hearing what you like today, I'm sorry about that. Actually, I'm not sorry about it. I'm sorry that you feel that way. But the Black woman, Breonna Taylor, lost her life for no reason while she was asleep in her bed. And the police that did that are not being punished at all still. The only judgment that is being that will go to court is it's not a judgment, but the only thing that they're being charged, that the one officer is being charged with, is a first-degree reckless endangerment charge because of stray bullets going through other apartments in the complex. That means that it could have harmed somebody else in one of those other departments, but it didn't, and so that's the charge. But none of them are being charged for killing Breonna Taylor, for murdering Breonna Taylor, because I would say that if a person gets killed in their sleep, that's called murder. If you were in your house and you were with your girlfriend or boyfriend, husband or wife, siblings, dad or mom, and you were in your house and somebody came into your house and, I'm not going to just say someone. If a police officer came in your house trying to serve a warrant, they did not identify themselves, they just smashed the door down, and then they shot and murdered a family member in your house, you would not say it was an accident. You would not say it's okay, no problem, no worries. It would be a murdered family member. And if it was you that got murdered, your family members would say that you were murdered. So the double standard, the hypocrisy, the unfair treatment, the injustice, inequality is again pointed out in our faces on live TV today. And there is no reason and excuse for this blatant disregard for life. Again, that district attorney just a week or two ago stood on a stage at the Republican National Convention and gave a speech supporting Donald Trump. Today, he gives a speech that makes no officer responsible for Breonna Taylor's murder. And we're supposed to be proud of our country's legal system. We've been enduring this for hundreds of years. We endure it still. We attempt to fight back and to move on in as peaceful ways as we can. But I and we are pissed the hell off now. Enough is enough. America, enough is enough. It is time for this to change. It is time for law to be literally equal, like it's supposed to say, like it says in the Bill of Rights, and like it says in the Constitution. It is time for us to be treated equal. All men are created equal. It's time for that to start happening now, because today, to this day, very day, it's still not the case. We are not treated equally. I have never been. Most of the black folk and brown folk that I know have never been. And today, the country just showed that Louisville, Kentucky is not a fair place to live. If you are black and you live in Louisville, Kentucky, you should probably pack your bags, because it's not going to get better no time soon. Anyways, thank you for tuning in. Again, Kimberly Latrice Jones will be posting something on Facebook because she was not able to. Hey, B, what's happening? Yeah, they do. They keep throwing gasoline on the fire. When it blows up, it's not going to be that. That's right, man. You are correct, sir. This is where we are, man. Hey, B, make sure you give me a call too later tonight if you can. I want to talk to you about an idea that I had for the show when you're coming on. Just so anybody who sees this, either now or later, Ross Bungie is going to be. He's freaking great friend of mine, musical brother. We played together for a bunch of years, and he's like a reggae ambassador in the Midwest and in South Carolina, and it's cool as hell. And so, but he's going to be on the show on I think October 7th. I think that's the date. I don't have it in front of me. Sorry about that. But I think it's October 7th. He'll be here live. Maybe I'll even get him to sing something. We'll see. But he's a great brother of mine. And so he'll be on the show next week. I want to apologize again because Kimberly Latrice Jones was not able to be on because of the BREONNA situation came to light the way that it did. And she is a world-renowned activist. She speaks all over the world on TV and everywhere, for CNN and Fox and everybody else. And so she got called to do several interviews in response to the action or the inaction of the district attorney and the Louisville law enforcement. So she is going to schedule us a new date where she will be here with us. So my apologies to you guys, but I'm sure under the circumstances you all understand. If you're watching this later, I hope you guys understand. I love you guys. Thank you for those who did stop by. And B, don't forget your bus. All right. I love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Stand up against racism. If you don't understand all this stuff that I've been speaking about today or prior to today, please do me a favor. Google it. It's all there at your hand. Everything that I say, you can Google and find out that it's correct. Everything that I speak about is not hard to find out about. And I'm sure that you may have other brothers and sisters, black and even white folks, that know and can acknowledge these things that I speak of as well. And of course, they have these things called books. And we tend to not read them very much anymore unless they're exciting or sexual. But if you do read or you like audiobooks, there are many, many, many hundreds and thousands of books about all of these things as well. So please, there is power in knowledge. Please get it. And until I love you. I'll see you Sunday, same black time, same black channel.